The Bays. There was a family that lived in the quiet town of Springdale, known for its tree-lined streets and welcoming neighborhood. This story took place in the 60s. The Mitchells were seen as a model family, made up of John, the father, a hardworking and respected man in his community, Laura, the mother, a dedicated and loving woman, and their two children, Emily and Thomas. However, what the neighbors didn't know was that, behind closed doors, the family had been fighting a silent battle against a powerful enemy: alcohol. John, previously a caring and present man, had succumbed to his drinking habit. It all started with a few glasses of wine on lonely nights after long working hours, the stress of your routine, and the desire to renew yourself. But through carelessness, it soon turned into an addiction that consumed every aspect of his life. The fights between him and Laura became frequent and violent, and the atmosphere in the house, previously full of laughter, turned into a tense and suffocating environment. Laura, desperate to protect her children and save what was left of her family, tried countless times to convince John to get help. However, he refused to admit the seriousness of his problem, and his denial only made the situation worse. Laura's sleepless nights were filled with prayers and silent tears as she found the strength to carry on. The effects of John's alcoholism soon manifested themselves in a more tragic way. He lost his job due to repeated absences and inappropriate behavior, which brought a financial crisis to the family. The children, who once admired their father, now feared him. Emily, just 10 years old, tried to be strong for Thomas, her younger brother, but fear and uncertainty were always present in her eyes. One night, after a particularly intense argument, John left the house, promising he would never return. Laura, exhausted and hopeless, felt her heart break as she watched him disappear into the darkness. The following days were a blur of worries and uncertainty. With no news from John, Laura faced the challenge of supporting her family alone, while trying to maintain a facade of normality for her children. It was in this moment of despair that Laura decided to seek help from a local church support group. There, he found comfort and words of encouragement from others facing similar problems. It was also there that he heard about a spiritual retreat that promised restoration and renewal for those seeking profound changes. With a heart full of hope, Laura signed John up for the retreat, even though she didn't know if he would accept the invitation. On a Sunday morning, accompanied by Emily and Thomas, Laura went looking for John on the streets of Springdale. He found him in a park, dejected and lost. With tears in her eyes, she begged him to consider attending the retreat. John, touched by his wife's sincerity and desperation, reluctantly accepted. At the retreat, he was received with love and understanding. For a week, he attended counseling, prayer, and reflection sessions, facing his inner demons and recognizing the devastating impact his addiction had had on his family. On the last day of the retreat, a surprising and miraculous event occurred. During a time of prayer, John felt a warm, comforting presence at his side. He had thought that someone in the group must be close to him, and then, when he opened his eyes, he saw the ethereal figure of his father, who had passed away years before. His father, who in his youth had struggled with alcoholism, looked at John tenderly and said, "You have the strength to change. Use it. Your family needs you." John, who was previously kneeling, got up and began to walk from one side to the other as if he couldn't believe what he had just seen and heard. Tears ran down his face, and he was tremblingly helped by the church members. Minutes after the incident, John felt peace and a determination he had never experienced before. Upon returning home, he asked Laura and his children for forgiveness, promising that he would do everything in his power to regain their trust and love. The following weeks were challenging but marked by progress. John began regularly attending Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, found a new job, and dedicated himself to rebuilding his relationship with his family. Laura, in turn, continued to be his pillar of support, offering unconditional love and encouragement. The miracle was not just John's vision, but the profound transformation that occurred in him and his family. Many wondered why a family so well-structured emotionally would suddenly go through this. Some would say they were jealous people who couldn't bear to see their family's happiness. Little by little, the Mitchells' home was once again filled with laughter and joy. Emily and Thomas, although still scarred by past experiences, began to see their father as a hero who had won a hard-fought battle. They also said that anyone is subject to slips and even falls, but if you have built a strong foundation, the day you need it most, it will be there to not let you give up. In later years, John became an active advocate against alcoholism in the Springdale community. He shared his story at schools, churches, and community events, inspiring many to seek help and change, and always emphasized the importance of building a strong family. The Mitchell family, once troubled by addiction, became a living example of thoughtfulness, love, and redemption. At one of the talks, John looked out into the audience and saw Laura, Emily, and Thomas smiling proudly. He knew in that moment that the true miracle was the restoration of their love and family unity. And it was through faith, perseverance, and grace that they found a new beginning. And through this experience, they became a hope for those who had their home destroyed by alcoholism, proving that, even in the darkest and most surprising circumstances, if there is a solid foundation, difficult phases become renewal. What brings courage, refuge, and forgiveness?